Welcome to In Touch with Durham County. I'm Deborah Craig Ray, General Manager of Strategic Planning and Innovation, Public Affairs, and Special Projects. I'm joined by my co-host, County Commission Chairman Michael Page.
Hello, Deborah. As our regular viewers know, we use this TV show to interview our Durham County department heads, staff, and community partners to share important information about the many valuable programs and services.
Well, Durham County Commissioners voted to place a bond referendum on the November 8th ballot to support 4 separate public projects: Durham Public Schools, the Main Durham County Library, Durham Technical Community College, and the Museum of Life and Science. We've invited representatives of those projects to share details to help voters become informed. Dr. William Ingram, President of Durham Technical Community College, and Library Director Tammy Baggett join us in our first segment. Durham Public Schools Board of Education Mike Lee and Museum of Life and Science President and CEO Barry Van Deman will join us after the break.
Let's begin our conversation. Dr. Ingram and Ms. Baggett-Best, thank you both for joining us today. And voters will have a chance to weigh in on this $170 million bond referendum as they vote this fall. Dr. Ingram, let's start with Durham Tech.
Sure.
Please tell our voters how much is on the ballot for your organization.
Well, thank you, Chairman Chage, and Deborah, I'm really pleased to be here today. Durham Technical Community College is on the ballot for $20 million to pay for a considerable expansion, a doubling of the size of our Newton Industrial Engineering Building, which is where we house our industrial training programs.
Now, highlight some of the specific projects that will be included in the bond as well, if you will.
Sure. As I said, it's a $20 million, and it will double the size of the facility, adding another 40,000 square feet of training space. We'll use that to expand our automotive systems facility to provide training in diesel systems and also alternative fuel programs. It will allow us to add construction trades programs, brick masonry, carpentry, heating and air conditioning, and plumbing. Also allow us to relocate our computer-aided manufacturing, our computer-aided machining program, and also provide additional classroom and training space to the facility. It'll also provide some opportunities for new general purpose classrooms and offices for faculty and staff.
That's fantastic.
These have been some great improvements.
Much needed.
So why would you say they are important overall to the sustainability of Durham Tech?
Sure. Well, Deborah, there are over 30,000 jobs in industrial and manufacturing in Durham County, and there are probably 5,000 to 10,000 more additional new jobs in construction trades. Durham Tech has not been able to meet that demand because we have not expanded our campus for over 20 years. In the last 20 years, we've been able to add a total of 4 classrooms to the main campus and 3 science labs. So our opportunity to provide additional training in industrial trades is long overdue.
Very important, very important. Tammy, please tell our voters how much is on the ballot for the Main Durham County Library.
Yes, the main library renovation bond is $44.3 million, and that dollar amount aligns with our peer libraries and really will allow for us to create an elevated experience for our library users.
Can you detail some of the specific projects that will be included for our main library?
Yes, this renovation is actually more than a renovation. It's also an expansion. So it will make the project about 84,000 square feet. That's an expansion of about 19,000 square feet. And in that space, we will have a maker space, which is really exciting. And that includes the components of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Those are 4 disciplines, or 5 disciplines actually, that will stand the test of time. So we're offering a lot of flexibility. We'll also have more space for meetings for the community and also for staff. We'll have an expanded North Carolina collection, and the collection will actually be available on site because as it stands now, we sometimes have to go off site to bring the collection in when people ask for certain things.
What do you say to voters who may ask, how will Durham County benefit overall from the passage of this bond?
That's a good question, and really the passage of this bond allows many opportunities for our community. One, it helps with the digital divide related to technology. It also allows for more programs related to free tutoring, which is a great asset to our community. We will be able to provide more ESOL classes as well as business opportunities for our users.
Right.
Dr. Ingram, let me pose that same question to you. How will our community benefit from the passage of the bonds for Durham Technical Community College?
Certainly. Well, not just Durham Tech, but I think all four bond initiatives are deeply important to our community. Durham recognizes the value of education in a way that no other community of our size in the country does. And certainly the public schools, the library, the Museum of Life and Science, and Durham Tech create a very important pathway of education for residents of Durham, moving them into 21st century careers.
Well, as we wrap up, is there any final thought you'd like to add, either one of you?
Yes, I would add that this bond really helps us move our mission forward of encouraging discovery, connecting the community, and leading in literacy.
Durham's a great community. Great communities are comprised of great institutions. Durham Tech aspires to be an institution that is worthy of the great community that is Durham, and I think the bond issue will help us achieve that aspiration.
Where can voters receive additional information? Is there a website?
There is a website. I think that the website information will roll on the screen here in a minute. I think all four organizations are out in the community for the next 2 months explaining the benefits of the bond issue.
Right.
Well, I'd just like to thank you both for the work that you're doing at your institutions and everything that we can look forward to. And we'd just like to remind our viewers that this is a $170 million bond referendum that includes 4 questions, and voters must vote separately for each one. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll learn about the bonds for Durham Public Schools and the Museum of Life and Science. Mr. Michael Goodman and Mr. Farad Ali are chairing the Bond Referendum Community Committee. Recently, they gave a progress report to county commissioners. Let's watch a portion of that report.
We have done good work to date. We have some really good announcements coming out in the future about the specific committee setup, committee structure, some endorsements we received. We have elaborated on the survey and polling work that was done before and have gotten a much better picture of where all of this kind of fits together and some of the nuances of it. And I'm confident in saying, sitting here today, that everything feels good so far. Now we got a long way to go, and we got a lot of people to talk to. We have a lot of community presentations. I think I have 2 or 3 this week that I'm doing, and we're ready to do them, and we're ready to get that done. Before Farad goes, Durham gets done what it needs to get done when it needs to get done, and we are a community that has made huge strides over the last 15 or 20 years, and downtown is exploding, and we have all these great things going on, and I think DPS is really doing good work. I mean, Marcus, how about Marcus, right? I mean, that's an amazing story, and there's so many more stories like that, and we've got to tell those stories, but we've got to continue to provide resources to those organizations and those institutions that do that good work. So I'm really proud. I want you to know that I'm really proud to be part of this, and I really appreciate being asked. Farad?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You don't need to say it. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Since Michael's going to pay for the bonds by himself anyway. No, thank y'all so much. We're really proud to do this work. In doing this work and having the support of Deborah and John, it's been very important that we socialize this inside the Durham community. We know there's a lot of things going on. We know there's an election for the county commissioners, for the state officials, as well as there's a national election going on. And so there may be a lot of galvanization for people to want to go out and vote. So we wanted to make sure they had a really good understanding of these 4 different bonds and why they make sense. When you look at the school bonds and the community college bond and the library bond and the museum bond, you see not is this only about education. There is some kind of an ecosystem of learning for kids. We know that the connectivity of all of these bonds have with one another with education. We know that the science teachers in the school systems really appreciate the museum. The museum knows it's important for the students to have really good education. We recognize that some of those students that come out, matriculate out, end up going to Durham Community College, and then they get there, they get some technical skills that allow them to work inside of the workforce development or corporations that are coming to town. And lastly, we know that our library facility is in the middle of a kind of a renaissance in downtown, and so the utilization, if you look at all of our libraries around the county, that's the only one that needs a lot of work right now. So this also builds the educational background of our children. So Michael and I have been very proud of this. In addition to pushing the bonds and helping people to understand the impact that it has on education, is also, as an economic development person, it's important to see what happens for economic development. As you look at this $170 million bond, the utilization of building jobs, having inclusion and diversity on these jobs, and ensuring that people in the community are able to participate in that. We actually create an economic engine by having this $170 million bonds, because from these bonds you create contracts, and these contracts we create jobs, and those jobs go to people who have children, and those children get a chance to participate in our schools. So the ecosystem of this work is really important.
Welcome back. Today we are informing our viewers about the $170 million bond referendum that voters will see on their ballot in the upcoming election. We are happy to have Durham Public Schools Board of Education Chairman Mike Lee and Barry Van Deman, President and CEO of our Museum of Life and Science, to join us in this segment. Chairman Page, let's continue our show.
Absolutely. Thank you both for joining us today. Mr. Lee, please tell our voters how much is on the ballot for Durham Public Schools.
Well, Durham Public Schools currently has the $90 million on the up for the bond referendum coming in November.
Okay. And detail for us a few of the largest projects that are included, and then share information about the other key upgrades that residents can look forward to.
Oh, thank you very much. On the bond referendum, our largest project is a replacement for Northern High School. Northern High School is in need of a lot of repair, and so what we're looking to do in this bond referendum is to actually build a new school on the same property with the largest share of that particular bond. Also, we're looking at security upgrades for Eno Valley Elementary School. If you're familiar with Eno Valley, it's an external school where the corridors are external, and we're looking to upgrade it to where we're turning those to be an internal. This actually helps with safety and utilities and many other aspects as we look at different schools, as we compare it to different schools. And the remainder of the budget mainly is about security upgrades and heating and air condition corrections or fixes in some of our schools. But the majority of the remaining is security upgrades to other schools.
Mm-hmm. So why is this year's bond project important to the success of the school system?
Well, as we all know, one of the most basic things we provide is safety and a good learning environment for our students. And what we want to do with this bond is, of course, with Northern, create a new environment. With Eno Valley, create a safer environment. And with the other schools, we want to create a more comfortable environment for our students. That's the most basic thing that we can provide to our students themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Barry, please tell us about the bonds at the Museum of Life and Science. How much?
Well, we're requesting $14 million to do investments across the campus and exhibits and accessibility to the campus.
Very good.
Why is this major bond project important to the success of the museum?
Well, the museum is a great partner with the public schools and a great friend of families in Durham County. You know, education today is not just about what happens in school, but it's what happens in the home and in the environment. Kids are going to be challenged ever more with the job environment that they're going to inherit. New jobs are going to replace the jobs that we see today. And so science and technology are a critical factor. We contribute to that learning outside of school.
What do you say to voters who may ask, how will Durham County as a community benefit from the passage of this bond?
In a variety of ways, in addition to the educational achievements that we'll see from our students. The museum provides an economic impact to Durham County. In the last 5 years, we've doubled that economic impact to $25 million because we welcome over 500,000 visitors now annually.
So let's go back a little bit to the schools. Are there any final thoughts you would like to share with our voters as they listen to this interview?
Yes, Durham Public Schools has always been a good steward in our bond performances. We've used bond money for the 2007 bond money for over 26 projects throughout the system. We've upgraded different parts of our schools, we've made corrections, and also the use of this bond money allows us to use our year-to-year budget to take care of the in-classroom opportunities that might come about. The bond money allows us to create the environments for it. So that's why this particular bond is very important to us. It's to allow us to continue the growth in Durham Public Schools.
So Barry, any final thoughts you'd like to share with us about the Museum of Life and Science?
Well, I would. Thank you for asking. This museum is just celebrated its 70th anniversary here serving Durham County. And it's grown from a little house by a street in the neighborhood near the museum to what it is today, providing access for all of Durham County to one of the finest museums in the country. We want people to come and have a fun experience, but we mostly want people to come and have a learning experience, and I think we're getting better at that every day. We are a nonprofit, so we earn 80% of the money that it takes to run this museum, and these bond funds are critical to investing in the future and growing the museum and making it even more available to people in Durham County and a great learning resource.
Well, we'd like to thank you both for all your hard work for our community, and we're going to share information with our viewers with your website so they can go and dig in and just kind of see a little more detail of both these projects. And again, our thanks. Chairman Page, we've had another good show.
Another great show. Thanks so much. Election day is November the 8th, but early voting begins on October the 20th. And for our viewers, please note that Durham County's $170 million bond referendum includes 4 questions, and voters must vote separately for each one. Also, the bond questions will be on the back of your ballot. Thank you, Deborah, for another great show on today.
And we want to thank you so much for watching us, and know that you can go to the Durham County website at www.dconc.gov for a special section devoted to the bond referendum. Thanks for watching. Cheers.